I must say, I'm painting with a wonderful collaborator. This collaborator is my subconscious. And very often I paint paintings, and then only when I finish them, I try to look into them and understand what it is that I was telling myself. This is also that makes my work so very interesting, because every painting that I paint is not a kind of an intellectual exercise of creating a situation where you have a given answer. No, I am just in some way alerting every individual's curiosity by providing him with an image that is supposed to make him or her think.
This next story is 95 years in the making. The Holocaust left a St. Petersburg woman with nothing. Her parents and siblings were killed.
She was a teenager at the time, and somehow she survived. Mary Wygotsky talked with 10 Tampa Bay's Liz Crawford about her life and how she recently learned one very important piece of information.
Memories of the Holocaust still haunt our world. Mary Wygotsky's entire family was killed. She survived the genocide.
I want you to go back all the way to the 1920s, when you were a little girl.
I had a wonderful family, mother, father, 2 little sisters, and a brother.
But by the time Mary was a teenager, happy memories were replaced with fear, and it only got worse.
3 concentration camps and 2 years in a ghetto.
Mary last saw her family in 1943, when she was taken to the first of 3 concentration camps.
I remember it very well, and it was very tragic for me, and I couldn't take it.
She says she came close to death more than once, including a time when she was allowed to take a shower in a death camp in Poland.
As I came to the door, the German guard told me, "Halt." And he said, "There is no more room," and I was very upset about it. But what I found out right after, all those people before me were guests. None of them survived.
In 1945, U.S. soldiers liberated the camp Mary was at. She immigrated to Israel and then to the United States.
Why did you make it your mission to tell your story and to get involved with the museum here?
There are too many liars, too many distorters, people that distort the Holocaust.
Mary's memory is vivid, but she never knew her real birth name. Her parents always called her by a nickname.
Mertzinka, Mertia. This is something that they usually do with little children.
Last year, a museum curator went on a hunt.
That name that her beloved parents had given to her was missing.
Ursula Szapinska spent weeks looking through archives.
Lots of those documents were destroyed during the Holocaust, but this page survived, and Mary is listed there as a newborn baby called Mara.
They found my birth certificate. This was, to me, a miracle.
You can actually ask Mary questions yourself at the Florida Holocaust Museum. She is part of the interactive exhibit there. It's called Dimensions in Testimony.
Today we are beginning by taking you to the Florida Holocaust Museum in St. Petersburg, which is continuing its mission to preserve the memory of that chapter in human history with an impactful new exhibit called Dimensions in Testimony.
And this is really fascinating. It's a pioneering project that integrates advanced filming techniques, specialized display technologies, and next-generation natural language processing. So ultimately, it creates an interactive biography so that museum goers, students, others, they can all have conversational interactions with eyewitnesses to history to learn from those who were really there.
My name is Erin Blankenship, and I am the Interim Executive Director here at the Florida Holocaust Museum. The Florida Holocaust Museum honors the memory of the millions of men, women, and children who suffered or died in the Holocaust, and it is dedicated to teaching members of all races and cultures the inherent worth and dignity of all human life in order to prevent future genocides. We have a permanent exhibition called History, Heritage, and Hope that teaches the history of the Holocaust, told through people who experienced the Holocaust but settled at some point here in Florida. And we do that with survivor testimony and original objects and photographs from those experiences. And this includes virtual and in-person conversations with a survivor and dimensions in testimony. Because our mission is to remember those who experienced the Holocaust, whether they were murdered by the Nazis and their collaborators or whether they survived, and also to educate people about the lessons of the Holocaust, testimony from Holocaust survivors is of the utmost importance. Mary, where were you born?
I was born in Vienna, Poland.
We believe strongly in connecting one person living today with one person who experienced the Holocaust. We believe that's where they can understand empathy and understand some of these lessons about resilience and hopefulness and kindness that we understand from our survivors. And so Dimensions in Testimony allows people to ask their own questions and get answers to those personal questions in real time. Were you ever tortured in the camps?
Fortunately, no.
We are really happy and excited to finally have one of our own local Holocaust survivors here in this exhibition. This is Mary Wygotsky. She is a Holocaust survivor who experienced 3 different concentration camps. Each one of these survivors, Mary included, spent a week with us through a very rigorous interview. We asked each person over 1,000 questions. So that way, when installed, like Mary is, we'll be able to ask whatever question comes to our mind, whatever we want to know about her experience. What camps were you in?
I was in 3 camps.
Mary is 96 years old, and she's doing very well. Last week, she was here to meet her interactive biography. She said how grateful she was for this particular project because she knows how important hearing survivor testimony is, and she knows how important Holocaust education is. Who liberated you?
The American Army liberated me.
When our visitors come to see Dimensions in Testimony, I often watch and see people nodding or even answering back, and that's when we know that the survivor's testimony is making an impact, because people can read all the history books and look at the black and white photographs and forget that these were real people that experienced this. And so the Holocaust wasn't very long ago. Even though this is a recording of Mary, she's still living. She lives right here in Pinellas County. And it's important that we seek out opportunities to hear Holocaust survivor stories. And this is just one of those ways to do so, because that's when we can really understand what it was like for a human being to have experienced the Holocaust And those lessons that Mary shares about resilience and being hopeful and being kind. Why did you survive?
That is a question that I'm asking God every day.
She speaks very strongly about not judging another person because of the way they look or because they are different from you. These are all really important lessons that each one of our survivors share.
I'm Clayton Richards, and I'm the production manager for Dimensions and Testimony here at the Florida Holocaust Museum. I began my research on Liesl Schick by first looking at interviews she had given to the Florida Holocaust Museum in the past. By looking at these interviews, I was able to gain an understanding of her life and her story, both before and during World War II. By using these, I was able to begin to construct a narrative on her life, which I was able to turn into this exhibition. Mainly for this exhibition, I used the interviews that Liesl Schick had given in the past to help understand her story and construct a narrative. Also, I was able to use artifacts that she had donated to the museum to gain a better understanding of what she went through and what she had during this time period. This exhibition tells the story of Liesl Schick and her family before and during World War II. The story begins with her family trying to escape the Nazis as they took over Austria, and continues with her and her brother's escape on the Kindertransport and her parents' struggles to reunite with them. The exhibition also follows the story of her husband, Alfred Schick, as he and his family tried to escape the Nazis in Austria as well. An artifact featured in this exhibit is Liesl's mother Charlotte's passport. You can tell that this passport was issued after the Nazis had taken over Austria because it has a mark that identifies her as a Jew. On this particular page, it also shows a travel visa that Charlotte had received to join her children in Great Britain. But unfortunately, the travel visa was canceled due to the start of World War II. Other artifacts featured in this exhibit include the landing cards used by Liesl and her brother Walter on their journey from Great Britain to the United States. These landing cards acted as both the boarding passes for them to board the ship to America and also as visas for them to enter and live in the United States. This exhibition also includes the notebooks that Liesl used during this time period. These include school books that she used while attending school in Great Britain, the autograph book that she had from before the war that were signed by many of her friends in Austria before she left on the Kindertransport, and a personal journal that her parents gave her before she left on the Kindertransport.